like record time, right?
All right, everybody, I hope you're enjoying your meal, and please don't stop. I want to introduce our guest speaker. As I mentioned before, our theme today is Hope Grows. And when we were looking for somebody for tonight, we wanted somebody who had an appreciation and involvement in the arts. And that is how we found our speaker tonight. She is from the Aplomb Project. And this is an organization that looks at art celebrating strength. They used the transformative power of art to uplift trauma survivors. And trauma can come in many forms. And they offer expressive healing and foster an inclusive, creative community. They stand for self-confidence, self-assurance, and poise, especially under the most trying circumstances. Danielle Festa, after graduating from UMass Amherst, focuses on painting hyper-realistic portraits, and she uses those as a cathartic expression of personal pain for her subjects. And as we were talking about her coming and inviting her to speak for us, she asked me how I knew she was a survivor. And I didn't. And I think it just means that she was meant to be here tonight. Welcome to Danielle Festa.
Thank you so much. I was so happy to receive that phone call. And the fact that this was about cancer survivorship and you didn't even know that I had that to relate to. Many of us here have received very hard phone calls. Before I got that phone call about my cancer diagnosis, 4 years prior, I got a different difficult phone call. It was from my cousin, who we were very close. We were very close as kids, and we weren't very close at the time when she asked, "Can I give you a call? I need to tell you something." And she let me know that as a kid, she experienced childhood sexual assault from within the family, and she had carried it on her own for 30 years. And in that moment, her body was tremoring. Everything in her body said, you need to speak out so you can start healing. And I felt so many things in that moment, like a flood of emotion, wanting to just get in a time machine, be there for her as a kid and stop that from happening. But I knew I couldn't do that. What I could do was show up for her fully now. And we went from being cousins from a distance to basically sisters. We've gotten to be so close. And I got to witness, and this was during COVID, by the way, when I got this call. And so we couldn't even see each other yet, but over FaceTime, I'm seeing this transformation, this growth in her, this confidence that wasn't there. When she told me, I remembered that teenager that was really hiding behind baggy clothes and hair in front of her face. And the first thing she did was she started going to therapy, and she started, doing the work of healing. She cut her hair short, and she was just there to say, this is me. I know that as a kid, I don't have to carry that blame and shame. That should never happen to me. And that only happened because she started sharing. And so I wanted to show to her what I saw, which was this strength and this resilience and this confidence and beauty. And it seemed strange to say, I want to celebrate you in a moment like this. I mean, we did let some time pass. There were months that passed and times to get to know each other again. Time to go shopping so that we could find an outfit that felt like it matched her new personality, and it was like a rebirth. So she's wearing that white fabric piece, and it with gold embroidery, and I actually hand embroidered the backgrounds with symbols of strength. And speaking of the background, it was a new thing for me. I'm a hyper-realistic oil painter, so the painting you see behind her, that is my style, but the background was new for me. That was a moment where I realized how much I needed my art as a therapeutic tool. I put a tarp down and I was just throwing down ink and I was moving like I'd never moved, and I just got out all that, honestly, rage I had towards the whole situation in a way that was productive, in a way that would translate into a piece that my cousin would stand next to with pride, with ownership of who she is now. And she also felt confident in sharing, knowing that others might need to hear that they're not alone. So together we put this out there. It was a Chamber of Commerce event, actually, when we first shared the portrait. And I was like, do you want to be there? Are you comfortable with this? And she's like, I want to be there. And I saw her from across the room talking about her experience in a way that it was so inspiring to me that she now could be in this position where she can say, I have been through this horrible thing, but that experience isn't me. I'm here. And she was talking about something very hard, and I didn't know if people were just gonna run away because we're talking about something so hard. And I think that was where I saw that there's something, there's an opportunity here to talk about hard things, because something like incest requires secrecy, right? So I was so proud of her in that moment, and when I started to hear from other people. I was teaching, so I've been an artist for a long time. I was teaching watercolor classes, and somebody, a pair that came, they asked about the portrait, and I was telling them about it, and they're like, you know, we too have been through trauma. They lost a child at 22 in a boating accident, and at the same time, she was going through a diagnosis of breast cancer. And it's like, when we get dealt things and it's like, right in a row, I mean, things that no one should ever have to experience, and I know you all know how that feels. We need to look to each other, and I could see that the two of them, they were holding hands as they were telling me about this, it was like you could feel that magnetic strength, how we can reach for each other and find each other when we need to. So I started painting other people. I started telling more stories, finding others who were brave enough to speak out about all kinds of trauma. I was like, let's not put a label on what trauma is. It can be so many things for so many people, and it can look a lot of different ways. For Jai here, and he's now on my board of directors, we did form as a nonprofit because I realized that it didn't make a whole lot of sense to just keep giving paintings away and putting all my time and love into this it was not very sustainable. So I was advised that making a nonprofit made sense because I wanted to make sure everybody went home with their portrait. So Jai found me, and I went to Washington, D.C., and we took his photo at a beautiful sunset. I didn't have to make that up. We do have artistic license, but I didn't need to use it here. We had this beautiful sunset, and he spoke about being a survivor of childhood sexual assault too, which is really difficult, I think, for anybody, but especially for men. So for him to share his story with others, to know they're not alone, was really important. And Aleka, I got to meet, who had been, again, dealt a lot of cards, and her chronic illness that she had experienced was due to the assault she experienced from incest as a child, and to still lead every day with her beauty and resilience, and like, yeah, I got my cane Grace, she's coming with me, she keeps me from falling, and she makes me look good. And I can tell you, Aleka was one of those first people I thought of when I was diagnosed, that if she could get through all the different things, all the big long lists of things that have come up from her doctors, and she's just handled it with, all right, what are we doing next? she was someone that I really looked towards. So I had this small spot, about 500 square feet, and people, I didn't know if they'd show up. Like I said, we're talking about incest, we're talking about trauma. Is anybody gonna wanna come and see these portraits? They showed up, and we're here in, this is in Dover, New Hampshire, so that's where I'm based out of. And people weren't running away. They were like, we see these people and they're beautiful.
Amen.
And so we formed a nonprofit. Here are a few more portraits, and people are going home with their portraits because that's where they belong. I wanted these to be on their wall as a reminder that they can get through hard things, because I cannot promise to them that they won't go through hard things again. Unfortunately, I wish I could. But what I can do is show them that they've got through it before.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So, aside from that, when I had my first exhibition, I was like, well, now what? I can't let these people just go off into their life and never see them again. Like, they're the most special people. So we decided, because we were kind of spread out, to start, and it was still kind of COVID stuff, start doing Zoom workshops. So I would teach them how to do art, and they would be playful with it. A lot of them had no art experience, but I was like, doesn't matter. Let's just have some fun with art materials. You don't have any, it's coming to you. We're shipping you some supplies. So we would, and still continue to get together to do creative workshops together. Because like the whole theme of this night, I really do feel like the best way to get out of your own mind about anything is to put something in your hands and to get busy, and your mind just immediately calms. And there's a lot that we bring, that I see a lot of people with inhibitions, with that voice from maybe like second grade, third grade, from a teacher that said, oh, you're not very good at that. It's weird how we hold on to those voices sometimes, but letting those all go and just being free with materials is a really healthy thing. So the way social media works and word of mouth works, I started to hear from people from all over the place, and I was like, well, yeah, I want to paint you too. How do we do this? I want to be there in real life. That felt important. So we started figuring out, okay, who's where and how do I get there? Can they come to me? And we do the photo shoot in person. That's an important part of it. So here I was in April of 2024. I had already felt the lump, and I knew, sometimes you just know, and I was waiting on my results, but I didn't let it stop me from going on my portrait trips. And so I took photographs of Josephine in New York City, and I went to Rochester, New York, and in the lower corner you can see my mom, who's here tonight, and she was with me. I had done my photo shoot with Mac at the library, because that was a place of solace for them. And I was so glad that I didn't get the call yet, because I got to fully be there for them and to make that photo shoot about them. But then when I did get the call, and I was on the trip with my mom, and they give you that window, so I kind of knew it was coming. But to have her there with me was so critical. And I have a husband and a daughter, and I almost felt like this is better for me to have a chance to absorb this without them, without having to feel like I need to manage my emotions in front of them. So I thank you, Mom, for being there for me then and every day. But I had a choice when I started my chemotherapy. Well, really before I think the same day I was diagnosed, I said, listen, doctors, I got paintings to paint. I've got things to do, like, give it to me straight. Can I still do this? I have a gala exhibition in 6 weeks. Can I do this still? And they were like, honestly, we've seen people do really well when they have something they care a lot about. And it sounds like this is that for you. And I was like, it definitely is. And I let people know, and the people I was painting, they said, oh my God, don't do my painting. Like, you don't have to worry about that right now. And I was like, yes, I do need to worry about that right now, because it gets me out of my own worry, out of my own, I'm a cancer patient right now. As we know, there's so many physical reminders to the experience, right? And so to be able to focus on their story and their painting was a gift for me. But here I want you to see, that's my cousin Sue. I also feel, there's a lot that I feel about healing, that art can be healing, but I know that people are healing. And I know that it actually is really a gift for us when we can be there for others. So a lot of what I've figured out along this crazy journey of life is that the things that we go through, when we do ask for others to be there for us, that makes them feel good, and it is circular. And that's why I started a program called Creative Circles, because filling a seat in a room where we're together, it actually shows somebody that they're not alone, but B, like, they might be helping that person just by showing up. So when my cousin got to be there for me after I was there for her, it was a really beautiful thing. And it goes to show that if we are open to being there for each other, for letting other people help, we can do pretty magical things for each other. And here she is, as one of 8 people that ceremoniously shaved my head. I went to a gunquit, I don't know if anyone knows, in the marginal way, and I was like, all right, I'm having anxiety dreams about losing my hair, and I think I just want to get rid of it on my own terms. And so I asked my cousin, my mom, my husband. I have another aunt who's a cancer survivor. I have a cousin who's also a cancer survivor from non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and a few others who've really been there for me. And I asked if they would each take a turn buzzing off my hair, and can we give it to the birds? So that's me making a nest with my hair, and it was just another moment for me where I was like, I feel like having some ownership, some creative control, let's say, over the experiences that we have. It relates back to the portraits I do, because I think when people come up with the concept for their portrait, I ask them, like, what do they love? What colors? Like, what do they want to wear that makes them feel their most fantastic? And all of that feels like creative control, right? When in life, sometimes we don't have control over the things that happen. So here I am, and I was like, let's do this. This is Mac is on the left, the one from the library, and Josephine from New York City on the right. And we did it. I had the exhibition. I got the most fantastic wigs that I could find. So that's my rainbow wig, and COVID mask, because I was worried about the autoimmune. So, but we did it. We did it, and I got to rent the runway dress, and I fed off of the oxytocin in a room. I don't know if anyone's felt that feeling, but all the medications that you take to get rid of the cancer, to then fix the side effects that you get and all the things, and I still have to take a lot of things, but the oxytocin does the most for me, I feel like. And seeing their faces, see their portraits for this first time, it's indescribable, and it is that circular feeling of giving back. And yeah, here we are, Donna, when she got to receive her portrait, and she had also gone through a cancer survival, and being around people who've been through it, I know you all know, it just feels like, okay, they've done it, I can do it. And I was just so, if I was always supposed to be dealt this card, it felt like I could most handle it in this moment, because I had people around me. And I even had, so Shakira, I was planning to go to Virginia, and then all of this, so she said, I'm coming to you. And she said, you're doing this gala on chemo? I'm coming to you, and I'm coming to the gala. So she showed up, and we actually did her photo shoot the morning of my gala, which looking back, it's kind of crazy to think of the things, but you do it, and she was friends with Josephine, who I visited in New York, so she was really happy to cheer her on too. But I was so grateful because that meant during my 20 weeks of chemo, I had a portrait to work on. Because remember I said the 6 weeks, so I rushed for those 6 weeks, and then I was like about to be left with nothing to work on. And we know what happens then, you know. So I was so grateful to have her portrait to work on. And at that same time at the beach, we did a group sand sculpture, so that's us doing that. And we went on a boat, so being out in nature I also think is very healing. Here I am with my cousin, getting on TV with her and wearing a purple wig and talking about the portraits. And we did it, we brought the portraits to Massachusetts, to a gala there, and now I got a pink wig. It's fun to be able to change, right? With your outfit. So, and that's my daughter underneath me. So she was 6 years old. She was 6 years old when I was diagnosed, and I know that it was a tough age because they are aware enough. And but I think she was really happy that we were straight with her, and we included her in on what was going on, and she got to show up and see that mommy needed a blanket on the couch and just be there for me. She gave me a little pink teddy bear when she thought I needed it, and those little moments felt so good to me. And yeah, I started to get more, I was done with my treatment, I had my surgery, and my hair started coming back. I was on the chemo pills, but at least my hair could start growing back, so headbands were a big thing. But I got to go on field trips with my community and continue to deliver those portraits and see those big smiles. We also started giving out art kits to groups that work with trauma survivors. So if anybody knows of groups that work directly with survivors that would like to have our art kits, do let me know. My information is out there on the table still, so feel free to grab it. We like to make art accessible to anybody, even if they're not able to get to us physically. We feel like let's give them a sketchbook, give them some colored pencils they've never tried, see what happens, give some really light expressive art activities. And they can find us on Zoom too. So here we are on the top left doing Zoom embroidery, and we sent out embroidery loops to everybody, and doing a beautiful exercise with an art therapist. So I brought in other people to lead creative experiences, and I've continued to do the portraits, and each one has their own unique, beautiful story. You may recognize this piece is out there, so you feel free to see the one on the left, teardrop, when you're leaving. So now, I remember that photo with everybody wrapped around the sidewalk because they couldn't get into the gallery. So I don't know if anyone has experienced this. I think at least at this table they have, because we were kind of talking about it, but you get through this experience of having cancer. You have a little bit of, I want to carpe diem, like seize the day. You have a bit of maybe risk reduction. I have a financial advisor who's like, yeah, you're very risk adverse right now. But we wanted to move to a bigger location, and I had on the left you'll see community members, family, friends, everybody showed up to paint walls, put floors together, and we opened up this beautiful downtown spot where we could we had the next year exhibition, that was last year, and you know how construction always takes longer and costs more? This time last year, I was still waiting to get the keys when I was supposed to be in May, and we actually got in 5 days before the exhibition. So it was when we got there, but it was all hands on deck, and everybody that came, there's Shakidra finally seeing her portrait, and it was just, again, all the oxytocin in the room. This is us being silly. So now we have a space where people can come in, and we call it an art cafe. So trauma or not, you can come in. I would make the case that we all experience a little bit of something though. So everybody come on in and do some art is our feeling. So instead of a menu of what to eat, you get a menu of what art supplies to try that day. And we have all kinds of inspiration and still life objects, mirrors, and we started offering up in this past October a cancer healing circle, because I knew how important art was for me as its healing tool, and I thought, I think there's a lot of people that don't know that this is a tool available for them. We get a lot of medical advice and other advice, and maybe unsolicited advice, but we don't always think about something like art. It's not an obvious go-to. And a lot of times people don't know where to start. So we do a lot of guided experiences that make it fun, and you don't have to have any level of experience. So we do this once a month. We've continued to do it. And it's a beautiful thing, whether you come in person in Dover or join us on Zoom. So I hope you all, again, out there on the table, I've got the info. I hope you think about joining us, because we have a fun little group, growing group. And here we were last month, and you're also welcome to bring a support person. And we also opened a back patio. So a few months ago, I saw this huge pile of snow out in the parking lot, and I was like, maybe with a couple tables and a little bit of love. And again, the community came out, everybody started gardening, painting, and we have this chalkboard wall that anybody can make art on. And if you're worried about what your art's gonna look like, well, just wait for it to rain, it'll go away, so don't, no pressure here. But this is where I'm at now. I am painting 7 new portraits to reveal this coming year. And so back on the timeline of things, it's been 2 years since I started treatment, and it's been a year since I finished treatment. And I'm very grateful for that, and I'm very grateful for all the medical professionals in the room. You weren't my doctors, but I know what you go through, and all the nurses and all the caretakers, all the family that are here for people. So much gratitude. And so here this year, I am at the finish line, and I'm working on a few that are cancer survivors as well. And to relate on that level, I think it just makes it even that more powerful. And Glenn is here. She was given 5 years to live 7 years ago, and she's like, I don't accept that timeline. I'm here. And her and her grandson, who you can kind of see in the background, when she was diagnosed and going through treatment, it was COVID time, and he was having, with the neurodivergence, a really hard time with just being on the screen all the time. So she's like, we're going to the state park. And you know what? While we're at it, let's go to every state park in South Carolina. So last fall, they completed their 47th state park.
Wow.
And I'm painting them in their state park shirts. And her beautiful jacket and this there's a lot of color in this piece. So I try to adjust my style for the people. And I'm really excited to present this piece to her. So that's my last slide. Wish me luck. If anybody wants to see the portraits, I am revealing them June 27th, and we'll be in Dover, New Hampshire, doing our own gala and exhibition. But they will be up for a few months. So it's summertime, so I'm sure some of you are planning a seacoast trip. Please stop by and see me and remind me that this is where we met, and I'd love to see your faces. And if you want to join us on Zoom, again, you'd be very, very welcome. And I really appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight.